Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday and welcome to today's daily antidote of song. So excited to see so many faces coming into the room. Hello and greetings to the whole gang and all of the gang that's out there that we can't see. Let's all take a deep breath together because it's Monday. And also, let's take that breath because it's also the daily antidote of songs half-decade celebration this weekend. On Saturday, it's going to be the last day of our first half decade. And then Sunday will be the first day of our next half decade and our birthday. So want to shout that out because we're super excited about it. We'll get back to that in a little bit. All right, everybody, please help me welcome everybody out there on our live stream. Hello to the folks out there watching this later. We are so glad you joined us. And hello to the folks who are actually watching it right now live with us. We can't see you, but we know you're there and we can hear you singing along with us. And I want to say hi, of course, to everybody in the room, starting with our artist for the day, Flawn Williams, coming in from Hyattsville. Flawn has sung with us before, and we're going to get back to him in just a moment with a little bit more introduction. And now let's say hi to all of the gang who is here. I'm going to start with Jenny in Suffolk, UK. Hello, nice to see you. Hello to Susan in Cincinnati. Nice to see you. I see the curly top screen over there in Vermont. Nice to have you guys with us. Bonnie in Boise, Idaho. Sarah in Texas. Marion in Brighton, UK. Hello. Hi to Arlene coming in from California. Kathleen in Albuquerque. Bob coming in from Albany. Kathy in Denver. Kathy in Colorado. Kathy in Denver and Kathy in California. Linda in California. Karen coming in from Iowa City. Yeah, it's like this every day, Flawn. You can laugh because I laugh too. Storm in Massachusetts and Trish in Victoria. Deli coming in from Maryland. There's Clive and Ruth coming in from Birmingham, UK. Neil in Boston. Paul, nice to have you with us today. I think you might be new to us and we're glad you're here. Hi to Nancy coming in from Washington State. I want to shout out Ariana, who is running our tech today. Hello to, it looks like maybe that's Roberta coming in on her phone. Hi, Roberta. Nice to have you with us today. I think you also might be new to us. Let's see who else we have here. We've got Linda on Orcas Island. David and Elsie coming in from Oakland. Anne in Silver Spring, Maryland. Kim Bothan, one of our song leaders, coming in from Vancouver Island. Hello to Busy Graham, Carpe Diem Arts. Glad you're with us here today. Hello to Laris in the UK. Hi to Linda in Concord, Massachusetts, and Annette in California. And Carolyn in Boise, Idaho, reminding me that today is day 1,821 consecutive days here in the Daily Antidote of Song, which is kind of fabulous and amazing. Hi to Nancy in Washington State. Hi to, did I say Aloysius in Mass? And Athena in Brooklyn. Hello to Caroline coming in, Caroline in DC. And all the folks off video today, Olga, Vicky, Ryland, maybe new to us today. Hello. Phil coming in from Totnes, UK. Maggie in San Ramon, California. Sue in Seattle. Cliff and Lynn in Vermont. Mabel and the Bears in Massachusetts. And Sarah in California. Now let's take one more deep breath. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. In case you just arrived late, I am Joe Rossi. I am the director of the Daily Antidote of Song, and this is the Daily Antidote of Song. And as Emma's Rev likes to say, you're in the right place at the right time. So thanks for joining us here today. And I'm super excited to introduce Flawn Williams, who has sung in this room with us before. Flawn is affiliated with the Augusta Heritage Center in Elkins, West Virginia. And he has been since 1981. And we're excited to talk to him more about that. But also, we're really excited to learn about Ethel Caffie Austin, who is the song leader that he is focused on and highlighting today with his song. So can we all please give Flawn a warm welcome back into the Daily Antidote of Song. Thanks for being with us, Flawn.
I've been here many times as part of the group like everybody else, but have led once before, and I'm happy to be back again. And being so close to the 5-year point is a special treat to be in this week. Today, you can see behind me the image of Ethel Caffie Austin, who is somebody I knew for decades as part of being out in West Virginia doing singing at the Augusta Heritage Center. And I want to sing with you a song, a traditional spiritual that she taught us. It's from the 1800s. It was first recorded by the Fisk University Jubilee Quartet back in 1909. It can be an exuberant song. It's talking about the pleasures that await all God's children when we get to heaven. And it's what we call a zipper song, where each new verse changes just a couple of words. So people who don't already know the song can join in quickly. And if you're interested in using it as a movement song, it's easy to create more verses for this to suit the times. Nestled inside this happy message song, though, is a line that warns that people who wrap themselves in the raiments of religion but don't treat their fellow travelers with equity and respect may not make it past the pearly gates into heaven. It's a cautionary note that still resonates all around us today. So I'm going to go through the first verse a couple of times so you can get a feel for it. We're going to be doing it in the key of F for anybody who has something instrumental in hand. I'll go through it a couple of times and then we'll back up to the top and sing it all the way through. And then we have time to chat about the song and more about Ethel after that. So in the key of F, here's how it goes. I got shoes, you got shoes, all God's children got shoes. When I get to heaven, gonna put on my shoes, gonna walk all over God's heaven, heaven, heaven. Everybody's talking about heaven, ain't going there, heaven, heaven. I'm gonna walk all over God's heaven. One more time before we launch into it. I got shoes, you got shoes, all God's children got shoes. When I get to heaven, gonna put on my shoes, gonna walk all over God's heaven, heaven, heaven. Everybody's talking about heaven, ain't going there, heaven, heaven. I'm gonna walk all over God's heaven. So you can probably hear what's going to happen here. I got shoes will get replaced. It's kind of like a game of Mad Libs with another noun or something like that in the first lines. And then the verb, I'm gonna walk in this case, gets changed to a different verb. So you can keep an eye on the lyrics in the chat or you'll pick it up. So back to the top. I got shoes, you got shoes, all God's children got shoes. When I get to heaven, gonna put on my shoes, I'm gonna walk all over God's heaven, heaven, heaven. Everybody talking about heaven, ain't going there, heaven, heaven. I'm gonna walk all over God's heaven. A robe. I got a robe, you got a robe, all God's children got a robe. When I get to heaven, gonna put on my robe, gonna shout all over God's heaven, heaven, heaven. Everybody talking about heaven, ain't going there, heaven, heaven. Gonna shout all over God's heaven. Wings. I got wings, you got wings, all God's children got wings. When I get to heaven, gonna put on my wings, I'm gonna fly all over God's heaven, heaven, heaven. Everybody talking about heaven, ain't going there, heaven, heaven. I'm gonna fly all over God's heaven. Harp. I got a harp, you got a harp, all God's children got a harp. When I get to heaven, gonna play on my harp, gonna play all over God's heaven, heaven, heaven. Everybody talking about heaven, ain't going there. Heaven, heaven, I'm gonna play all over God's heaven. A song. I got a song, you've got a song, all God's children got a song. When I get to heaven, gonna sing a new song, sing all over God's heaven. Heaven, heaven, everybody talking about heaven, ain't going there. Heaven, heaven, I'm gonna sing all over God's heaven.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Flawn. That was really, really beautiful. And I know that there's a lot built into that song. And I also know you have an awful lot to teach us about beautiful Ethel, who I am so excited to have learned about once you told me you were singing about her. So why don't we share with everybody all of your great knowledge?
Well, that would take us days to
All right. Some of your
share
great
all of
knowledge.
my knowledge about Ethel. But I first got connected to the Augusta Heritage Center in 1981, and I started doing sound for their concerts. So I was out there for the whole 5-week summer program they ran every year. And one of the people who taught for them and had been teaching for them for several years before I got involved was Ethel Caffie Austin. She hailed from around the Charleston, West Virginia, southern West Virginia area. And to many people across several decades, she was known as West Virginia's first lady of gospel music. She passed away in late December of 2024, so that was part of what has kept her in my mind of late. But in her early years, she toured across the USA. She had a group called the Ethel Caffie Austin Singers. They were also well received on several European tours, so she was not just a local girl. She was traveling to many places around the world, but she always returned to her home base of West Virginia. And as I said, as part of her, a very small part of her active spiritual and musical life, she taught classes at the Augusta Heritage Center in not just African American gospel music, but also gospel piano styles. We had people come and study with her just to learn some of the stylistic things about how to back up gospel choirs and things of that sort. She joined us for many summers there until the late 2000s, and after that, she started having health issues that limited her travel, so she wasn't able to come up and be with us. One of the things to really pay attention to about her was that she reached across racial and religious and other lines to create a culture of universal welcome and respect, both in her classroom and in her concert performances. And she did that with a big-hearted, good-natured sense of humor. One of the reasons why I Got Shoes today as an example was that shoes featured somewhat in her classes. Sometimes she would take off one of her little soft cloth shoes and humorously threaten, waving it in the air, threaten it to toss it at a singer or at a choir section that had gone astray on some part of what she was trying to teach them. On a few occasions, the shoe actually did take flight, but there were no casualties. And one of my earliest memories of her was her admonition to her almost all white class that they should put in the effort to learn this unfamiliar musical style from her because, in her words, I learned to clog. And she would sometimes even give a quick demonstration of her clogging techniques. Some students who took her classes year after year referred to themselves as her alabaster choir. And her legacy with us and with the larger singing community also includes the fact that she mentored multiple generations of younger African American singers in West Virginia, and several of them have come to teach at our programs in recent years. I want to point, if you want to know more about her, I want to point you to a uh, YouTube link, which I believe is getting put in the chat somewhere. Um, in 1920, Ethel was inducted into the West Virginia Music Hall of Fame. And that ceremony included that video vignette that I've supplied the link for, talking about all of the ways that Ethel shaped West Virginia music. So please check that out if you got a chance. So that's a quick overview of my connection with Ethel Caffie Austin.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's really nice to learn about her. And I think like in these times, I can't remember what the phrase is that you said about her ability to work, kind of across borders or across, do you remember how you phrased that? Because it just feels like you're just talking about these times right now, and what maybe our like base goal should be right now
What
is.
I said was that she reached across racial, religious, and other lines to create a culture of universal welcome and respect. And that
So
was Ethel writ large. She
yeah,
could attract a community, and she could thrill audiences in concert. Um, but she wasn't just a performer. She used her performance skills to make people feel welcome, make people feel inspired, fired up with whatever spirit they chose to. She was a devout Christian, but she did not limit her classes or anything like that to people who wanted to acknowledge a Christian savior or anything like that. She was there to share the spirit. So
that is beautiful. Thank you, Flawn. I feel like, within those sentences and like sort of, her baseline method of operating in the world, you really hear kind of what we are all, I think, sort of really focused on right now as being kind of the, necessary action of our times. And all of us potentially looking for the ways where we can also be that figure in whatever ways we have the capacity to be it. Because it's just a time for unity and community in such a major way. And I'm so grateful, Flawn, that you brought her to our attention. I am sad that she was already too ill to have ever come here into the Daily Antidote and sang with us, because I would suspect if I asked how many people would have liked to have seen her in person in this room, the entire room will erupt in so I agree, it would have been magical to have her, and I do look forward to future times when we get to connect with Flawn and have him sing in here and or bring some of his other musical friends. So that I think will be in the works. And
yeah, Joe and I were just talking before the connection started about some other ideas. So we definitely have some plans afoot there.
Yeah, we love ideas and plans in here, and we're getting increasingly good at actually pulling them off, which I love. So that's the thing as we hit the half decade, right? Like the ways we've grown and changed in here, and what we're capable of in here that we've never been capable of before, and also what our climate, in general and like literally is asking of us right now. So what we have in this platform in here is more important than ever, and I'm super glad, Flawn, to be tied back in with you, and I really look forward to more. So how would you feel about singing that song once through again with everybody?
Sure. It's called, if you didn't get it the first time through, it's called I Got Shoes. And again, we're in the key of F. I got shoes, you got shoes, all God's children got shoes. When I get to heaven, gonna put on my shoes, gonna walk all over God's heaven. Heaven, heaven. Everybody talking about heaven, ain't going there. Heaven, heaven. I'm gonna walk all over God's heaven. I got a robe, you got a robe. All God's children got a robe. When I get to heaven, gonna put on my robe. I'm gonna shout all over God's heaven. Heaven, heaven. Everybody talking about heaven, ain't going there. Heaven, heaven. I'm gonna shout all over God's heaven. I've got wings, you got wings. All God's children got wings. When I get to heaven, gonna put on my wings, gonna fly all over God's heaven. Heaven, heaven. Everybody talking about heaven, ain't going there. Heaven, heaven. I'm gonna fly all over God's heaven. A harp got, I got a harp, you got a harp. All God's children got a harp. When I get to heaven, gonna play on my harp, gonna play all over God's heaven. Heaven, heaven. Everybody's talking about heaven, ain't going there. Heaven, heaven. I'm gonna play all over God's heaven a song. I've got a song, you got a song. All God's children got a song. When I get to heaven, gonna sing a new song. Sing all over God's heaven. Heaven, heaven. Everybody talking about heaven, ain't going there. Heaven, heaven. I'm gonna sing all over God's heaven.
Thank you so much, Flawn Williams. Everybody, please shout and dance and do what you can there to show Flawn. Yeah, some of my favorite days are when we sing a song that ties into what we're already thinking and then learn more about somebody who was out there in the world doing what they were doing. That brought us, to some of the good places and positive places that we are today as a globe. And so thank you, Flawn, for introducing us to Ethel. We really enjoyed meeting her. Definitely, everybody, get in there and look at the links in the chat, both to follow Flawn's activities and Augusta Heritage, and also to learn more about Ethel. And thanks again, Flawn, for a remarkable journey today. I am gonna just real quick tell everybody what we've got coming up here while we are here in our magical birthday week at the Daily Antidote of Song. Happy half decade to the Daily Antidote of Song this week. Of course, just sang with Flawn Williams, and so glad to have him here with us, coming in from Hyattsville, Maryland. We've got Peter Mayer coming in on Tuesday, Wes Waddell coming in from the Seattle area on Wednesday, Kimberly Moore coming in from the UK on Thursday, Marquez Rhine, boy, I think that's Georgia, but I don't remember. And then on April 5 and April 6, you see a lot of faces, because there's going to be a lot of faces while we celebrate the end of our first half decade and the beginning of our next one. And there are going to be lots of surprises and things popping up in the universe. So keep your eye on our e-news and our social media and all of the announcements that we're making here in this room. Not the least of which is I hope that everybody can stay after today for a few announcements. So we want to take another moment to thank Flawn. Thank you, Flawn. Great to have you, Flawn. Thanks again, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Let's say goodbye to everybody out there on the live stream. Thanks, folks out there. Those of you that are coming in on Facebook and those of you coming in on YouTube, whether you're with us right now or later, we are glad you are there. And we invite you, of course, to join us in this space anytime when you happen to be doing this at the noon ET hour. And I want to thank Ariana again for running tech for us today. Thank you, Ariana, for being such a great force behind the scenes. And let's wave Flawn out of the room. Thank you, Flawn, for joining us today. And let's say goodbye to everybody else here. Jenny in Suffolk, UK, thank you so much. Dawn and the Curly Tops, or at least the Dawn portion of that. Coming in from Vermont, Susan in Cincinnati, Ohio, Bonnie in Boise, Idaho, Marion coming in from Brighton, UK, Arlene in Berkeley, California, Kathleen in Albuquerque, Bob in Albany, New York, Annette coming in from California, Laris coming in from the UK. Laris, I love the background. Trish coming in from Victoria, British Columbia, another beautiful nature background. Bob, Mabel, and the Bears. Yeah, there are the Bears. Good. Thank you, Bears. Clive, Ruth in Birmingham. Good to see you too. Nice to see your faces today. Kathy in Denver, Colorado. Lots of love to you and everybody in this room. Kathy in California. You guys tripped me up on the way in, but I'm not letting you trip me up on the way out. Susan in Tacoma Park, thank you. Carolyn in Boise, Idaho. Linda on Orcas Island. David and Elsie in Oakland. Sue in Seattle. Athena in Brooklyn. reminding me that today is day 1,821 consecutive days of singing here in this room. I am saying now, I think we might be the longest running daily singing program in existence in the world. You never know. This might be the opportunity for somebody to call me up now because they see this and say, no, we've also been singing every day for the last 1,821 days, but I sort of dare you. All right. Athena in Brooklyn, thank you so much for the reminder of the day number. Kim in Vancouver, thank you so much for Vancouver Island. Neil in Boston, thank you so much. Lovely little birthday cakes there for our upcoming birthday. Caroline in DC, Katie in Maryland, Linda coming in from California, Anne coming in from Nashville. Thank you so much. Jamie in Victoria. Paul, nice to have you with us today. I think you might be new to us. Glad you were here. Feel free to stay after. I'd love to say hi. Hoda in British Columbia. Thank you for being here. Deli in Maryland. Anne also coming in from Maryland. Storm in Massachusetts. I need to take a breath. Linda in Concord, Mass. Busy Graham, Carpe Diem Arts, one of the forces behind the scenes making this thing tick day after every other day. And Nancy in Washington State. Ariana, thank you again for checking. Aloysius in Massachusetts. Olga, thanks for coming in from the place that I always forget where you're coming in from. Phil and Dad coming in from Newcastle, UK. Great to see both of you here today. Everybody wave to 100-year-old William. Hello, William. Lots of love to you. Let's see, Cliff and Lynn coming in from Vermont, Sarah in California, Lynn in Connecticut, Christine, thanks for being with us today, and Fred in Maryland, thanks for being with us. Toodaloo again to everybody out there on the live stream. Please join us again right